Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. Supreme Court resumes hearing on the old Naira notes deadline suits between some state governments and the federal government. Independent National Electoral Commission distributes sensitive materials ahead of elections on Saturday. Plus, National Youth Service Corps deploys over 200,000 Corps members as ad hoc staff. Welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos, and we are monitoring the developing story of the Supreme Court and the Naira redesign policy. The Apex Court has consolidated the suits instituted by 10 state governments against the federal government, challenging the implementation of the Naira redesign. The head of the 7-man panel, Justice John Okoro, granted the request and ordered consolidation of the 10 suits into one. The court, however, refused to join Abia State in the suit on grounds that it came late with its originating summons. The court ordered Abia State to present its case at a later date. A motion for the consolidation was also argued by the counsel for River State, Emmanuel Okala. Moving the motion and notice, Mr. Okala premised the consolidation request on the need for the suit to be heard without any hindrance, since the matter borders on the same issue. All eyes are set on the Supreme Court today as it begins hearing on the consolidated suit. The Attorneys General of Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara, later joined by those of Ondo, Ekiti, Katsina, Ogun, Cross River, Sokoto and Lagos states, had approached the Supreme Court asking the Apex Court to halt the implementation of the Naira redesign policy. Edo and Bayelsa states later joined the federal government as co-defendants in the suit. Now, during its first hearing, the Apex Court had restrained the CBN from enforcing the deadline on the use of the old Naira notes and held that the old Naira notes should circulate side by side with the redesigned notes. But in a nationwide broadcast, the president directed the CBN to reissue the 200 Naira notes while the 500 and 1,000 Naira notes ceased to be legal tender. Well, in their response, Kaduna, Zamfara and Kogi again filed another suit against the Attorney General of the Federation and the Central Bank Governor, alleging failure to comply with the Supreme Court order on the old Naira notes. In the fresh documents filed before the court, the three states warned the AGF and the CBN governor of the consequences of their continued failure to comply with the Apex Court order made on the 3rd of February. Meanwhile, the AGF had also filed a preliminary objection to the suit, arguing that the Supreme Court lacks the jurisdiction to entertain the matter, maintaining that the plaintiffs failed to join the CBN in the original suit. The court proceedings are still continuing and we'll bring you the latest as we get them. Well, staying with the Naira redesign policy, there have been accusations, counter-accusations between the Ogun State government and the main opposition party, the PDP, over the violent protests which rocked the town on Monday, where property worth millions of Naira were destroyed. Governor Dapo Abiodun, during his on-the-spot assessment to the affected areas, assured residents that election will hold on Saturday and said that the incident was politically motivated. However, in response, the State Secretary of the PDP, Mr. Sunday Sholari, at a press conference in the state capital, says the opposition of the governor to the current Naira policy was responsible for the mayhem, asking his party members and faithful to remain calm with unity of purpose.
State government still went to town, distributing money to people, and they're doing this with the old note. And it's a way to instigate the general public against the government that they are presiding over. And having given people this old note, knowing fully well that it is no longer a legal tender, and people went to bank to see if they could actually give this money back, to the bank. And it was blatantly refused, which of course, that is the directive that the federal government had issued to banks, the directive that the CBN, who regulate banking activity, had also given to bank. And I want to believe that it is the refusal of the bank to collect this money that triggered, the riot that we witnessed in Shagamu yesterday.
It is obvious to us that this goes beyond the issue of Naira redesign or cash swap. It is obvious that this is politically motivated. And we've heard that from so many eyewitnesses. We have seen that from all what we've seen today. And this is most unfortunate, particularly as elections are just a few days away. It is obvious to me that some elements are determined on unleashing mayhem in order to cause voter apathy, or even perhaps worse still, to hopefully believe that there will be no elections if they continue with this violence. Now, as the chief security officer of this state, I consider this a test to not just my will, but the collective will of all the law enforcement architecture. We are going to go after every person that is either directly or indirectly associated with this heinous crime.
And ahead of Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections across the country, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Lagos State today kicked off the distribution of sensitive materials directly from the central bank to the 20 local government areas of the state. The materials, which include ballot papers, result sheets, will be distributed from the CBN, but they had been kept to the 20 local government areas under heavy security. Our correspondent, Dario Doe, reports that present at the CBN to monitor the distribution are representatives of political parties, the Commissioner of Police in the state, Idewu Owohunwa, who is leading the security delegation. Meanwhile, the National Youth Service Corps has deployed over 200,000 Corps members as ad hoc staff. The Director General of the Corps, Brigadier General Yashau Ahmed, made the disclosure in Abuja at a news conference on the scheme's preparedness for the forthcoming elections. He also warned Corps members against collection of any form of gratification from politicians during the exercise.
The National Youth Service Corps members are ever ready to do it again, just as they have done it before. Those who are going to participate in these elections have already been trained. Some of them are trained outside the camp, and for those who just passed out, were trained by INEC officials in the camp. Proper training have been given to them. They were admonished. Guidelines were given to them. We, as individuals, as staff of the scheme, have also talked to the Corps members. But what we want to remind the Corps members is that they should be careful of whatever environment they find themselves. They should not accept any gift from any politician. They must not accept food from anybody. As they go, they should carry at least their service support. What I mean by service support, they should hold what they will use for that day along with them. Any form of gratification, any form of gift, we don't expect Corps members to accept. You should know over 75 or thereabout of these ad hoc staff are the Corps members. So we are making use of over 200,000 Corps members for this exercise.
Well, as part of efforts to ensure the integrity of the process, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has deployed officers of the Commission to the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory to monitor the polls. Chairman of the Commission, Abdulrasheed Bawa, charged operatives to be conscious of the interest of the nation and exhibit a high sense of professionalism. It reads in part, "You are out on a national assignment, and I expect you to conduct yourself responsibly in line with our core values of professionalism, integrity and courage. You have a responsibility to ensure that this election is devoid of financial malpractices, especially inducement of voters. The attention of the world is focused on Nigeria, and we must do what is necessary to ensure that we have a credible, free and fair elections. Apart from the teams deployed across the country, the EFCC has also released incident reporting hotlines for the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, urging members of the public to report any case of vote buying or selling. Well, Nigerian voters will be going to the polls in 2 days to elect a new president, among other positions. And as campaigns heat up in the last minute, fact checkers are warning, well, that fake news could affect the polls. Well, joining us in the studio, Mr. Larry Olagunju is a fact check editor, Cable News. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So what kind of disinformation are we seeing at the moment?
Yes, at the moment, the kind of disinformation we are seeing has to do with people calling on notable names in society, trying to say that this person has approved this person, has endorsed this person, while in most cases they have not said anything. You know, the names, a big name like Professor Wole Soyinka has been used a couple of times. People have dragged a national association like CAN to say that they gave so billion of naira to this particular party and things like that. So that's the kind of misinformation we've been seeing. And also from the political class, they've also been very strategic, trying to use figures, economic figures, to either credit their own party or their candidacy or discredit the opposition, and which most times affects the psychology of the average voter, who cannot even differentiate if the GDP is this figure at this point in time or the other. So that's the kind of disinformation we are seeing at the moment. And I think that as we go close to the elections, things are going to change. We are going to see this information that will be targeted at ensuring that people don't go out to vote. Let's say, for instance, there's a very old picture is being used to say that there's chaos in Surulere, for instance, in Lagos, or there's chaos somewhere in Abuja. It might be a very old picture, a very old video. What that's going to do is going to ensure that people stay back at home and don't go out to vote. As we also go on, as the election draws near, we're going to see misinformation around saying that this particular candidate has collapsed his or her own structure for this particular party. And that's not true most times. So we are encouraging people to always verify, like we say, verify, don't just say it. But we really need to also check, be very skeptical in our thinking and also be very critical.
What are those mediums that are more susceptible and why?
Yes, social media platform, WhatsApp, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. WhatsApp is becoming a major place whereby this information is being shared. And the challenge also is that fact checkers are not readily there to see what's going on because it's enclosed. People are in groups. And we have groups where have a large number of people, but the average person there, maybe with a particular demographic where they believe everything they see. They don't even have the time to say, please help me check this. So WhatsApp is a major platform. Telegram as well. Then also Facebook. But I think that with fact checking and we having a lot of media organizations putting so much attention into fact checking, things are getting better. People are not just consuming the information on social media like they usually do. If you compare this particular election to that of 2015, to 2019, to that of 2011, things are actually a lot better right now. But we are also open and thinking that Nigerians will also know that they have a role to play because misinformation and fake news has real-life consequences. People can be affected. It can lead to violence, It can lead to loss of life. And what we really want at this point in time is to have a smooth election that is credible and that is void of violence.
And we're hoping that these voices will be raised as to some of the dangers, that fake news can cause. But we also know that these perpetrators are getting better at it, like deep fakes, for example. So what would be your final advice to Nigerians who are on WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and the likes?
So I think people should monitor the conventional news platform and the reputable ones. We can't see that enough. So you want to ask yourself, who is sharing this? It might look so real. And the challenge also with misinformation and how it spread is that once your biases, once your ethnic bias, your religious bias, or even your political bias falls in the line, no matter how educated you are, you don't have that time to be skeptical. You don't have that time to be critical. You just consume what you have. So the most important thing is to check who said this, when did they say it, which reputable news platform has shared this particular information. By the time you take your time, and you're not just in a hurry to retweet or to share, forwarded as received, then you will not fall in the line of misinformation or sharing misinformation.
And we hope everyone is listening. We'd like to appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Larry Olagunju is a fact-check editor at Cable News. Thanks again for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, still to come, our correspondent Atiku gives us the pulse of the Southeast ahead of the elections. Please stay with us. Paul.
It's a homecoming of sorts by the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar to Numan in southern Adamawa state. The southern Adamawa zone has been bedeviled by farmer herders' crisis, with lives lost, communities ravaged, and people displaced. While addressing the people after a closed-door meeting with the traditional rulers, Mr. Atiku solicits the support of the royal fathers and announces that security is one of his 5-point agenda.
One of the 5 key programs of our administration is to tackle insecurity. And when I say I mean it, you should trust me that I mean it. We will make sure there is security in every part of this country. For those of you who know me know that I can do it.
The Hama Bachama, who's the traditional ruler in whose domain the meeting is holding, speaks on behalf of other traditional rulers while he emphasizes the need for peace.
3 years ago, I made a statement and I said, the peace that Nigeria is seeking shall come from this community. I stand on that statement, and I believe that anybody who comes here to look for presidency and is ready to bring peace, he is part of the answer to the problem I'm praying for. So I believe that God has a plan and he has a purpose for our gathering today. I am not the one who will give the presidency, but God will listen to our prayers.
The meeting has in attendance the PDP National Chairman, Senator Yocha Ayu, former Vice President Namadi Sambo, host Governor Umar Fintiri, amongst others. The visit appears to be a significant one and is expected to yield workable solutions to the security challenges facing the area.
In the meantime, the All Progressives Congress, its presidential candidates, Bola Tinubu, held the grand finale of its presidential campaign in Lagos. The candidates and other party chieftains rode in a motorcade across major streets in Lagos before arriving at the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Surulere for the rally. The rally was attended by President Muhammadu Buhari, President of Senate Ahmed Lawan, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and other party leaders.
The city boy, as he's called in some of his outings, is coming home. So it's not a coincidence that his last major rally takes place in Lagos. It's no surprise that party faithful, supporters, stalwarts, various groups pulled together to hold a rally tagged Mother of All Rallies. The Teslim Stadium in Surulere had the numbers replicated as can be seen mostly during major football matches, with loads of music to accompany the waiting. As he arrives at the arena, he has come with the president whose job he is hoping to have come May 29, 2023. Leaving no one in doubt regarding their hopes, the party chairman sums it up this way.
In all the states that we have visited so far, we can say by God, we are there.
Yes, sir.
We have arrived.
Yes.
We have a president who, by the grace of God, will be successor in office of President Muhammadu Buhari.
I want to thank you for believing that indeed
with a new dispensation, we will all move forward positively. We will acknowledge what our president have done.
You want me to become president?
Then the city boy takes center stage, thanking President Buhari for his support, his commitment to credible elections before giving this charge.
As you work hard for me, I will work hard for Nigeria.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
As you give Nigeria the hope to renew their faith in their country, I will sustain that hope. I will bring it to you. Those who look helpless today will be helpful in this country.
In a concise and few words, the president performs the rites often understood as endorsement as he raises the hand of Senator Bola Tinubu and the Lagos State Governor.
I have the honor to raise the hand of the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Ahmed Tinubu, and the governor of Lagos State, Sam Olu. Congratulations, and I wish APC the real best of luck.
Proceedings will come to an end afterwards, just as attention and the battle now shift to the polls. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
We head to Imo State where our correspondent Atiku Kuti joins me now for more. Hi Atiku, so we know that the governorship elections won't hold yet in Imo State, but they will be taking part in Saturday's polls. What's the atmosphere like with just a few days to go?
Yeah, hi Millicent. It's relatively calm down here in Imo State. And but don't get it twisted. You know, it's the intensity attributed to elections before now. Before now, I've covered several elections down here in Imo State, and the intensity, the fever that you normally see, you know, ahead of the elections, especially when it's 2-3 days to the election, the feel is not really there. And from my findings, I've listed 3 factors that might have caused this. The first one is that, like you said, there's no governorship election in Imo State until November 2023, according to INEC. And the second one is...
Listen to him. He's going to call for...
The Naira swap is affecting people in Imo State, like other states of the country, and people are looking for survival. You see behind me and just in front of me here, people day in, day out are always large crowd in the banking premises trying to get cash. So I think most of them think more about how to survive, you know, than to think of politics for now. And the third one is the problem of fuel scarcity or fuel crisis, because up until now, the fuel is still being sold in Imo State for 380 to 390 naira per liter, and which has caused high cost of transportation, high cost of living. So these 3 factors have really affected the intensity of the elections, which is coming up on Saturday, the presidential and the National Assembly elections. On the part of INEC, just a few days ago, we were with the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Imo State, Professor Sylvia Agu, where she's promising that INEC will conduct credible, free and fair polls in Imo State, and that the beavers will work and that the votes of people will count. If you just take me to that track of the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Imo State, Professor Sylvia Agu, speaking at the stakeholders meeting.
Beavers does not work with network except when you want to transmit results. As you come, you get accredited. Beavers will accredit you. Assuming you have 100 accredited members, that is people that actually came that day, there were 100 that got accredited. And then you know the usual political way of politicians, they have their usual way of manipulating every system. But unfortunately, they cannot manipulate a machine. They can manipulate the individuals, they can manipulate everything, put in the ballot, probably increase the number of voters, and then they will be told they've won. But when we get to the office and look at the beavers will show us the exact number of accredited voters. With these accredited voters, we'll compare to the results, the results. Anywhere there is the number of votes cast is more than the accredited voters. If it is more, we'll call it overvoting. We'll cancel that bill or that area. So this way, the beavers works. So I'm assuring you, by the grace of God, your votes will count.
To see Tokwe, and we also heard the Election Manipulation Risk Index earlier reported that 2 states in Nigeria in past elections have been anti-technology, and one of those states is Imo. So it's interesting. We will see indeed what happens with the beavers use as things play out on election day. We'd like to thank you, Tokwe. We will be talking to you in the days ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Atiku Kute live for us there in Owerri. To more stories now across the states. More than 100,000 people in Kano are volunteering. They declared their interest to volunteer as agents in favor of the presidential candidates of the All Progressives Congress. According to a statement, the director of the Northwest Campaign Support Group said the gesture by extension will also be applied to the state governor, Nasiru Gawuna, and his deputy. Over in Osun State, Police Command has banned policemen attached to governors, ministers, other government functionaries from escorting their principals to polling units. According to the statement, the spokesperson for the command said any officer that flouts the directive will be subject to disciplinary actions. And you've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow the conversation on our social media handles. I'm Millicent Walker. Thank you for watching.